Here we are at the beginning of the 6th turn of Königgrätz playthrough. Playtest, not a normal playthrough. This is a game that, you know, is still in development. The story so far is that the Prussians are doing okay. They're winning the game in terms of casualties, which is the only victory condition in this one. They've pressed up against the Austrians and kind of got them bunched up here. Now, there's a little bit of a problem with that, at least that we saw last video, which is that bunching up gave the Austrians a better defensive position than trying to defend a lot of ground, which might have an implication if victory hexes are added to the game or something, which was something that the designer is sort of toying with the idea of. We're going to see if it's a standard feature of the design, which I fear it might be, although it's losing some of its ground. So the fact that these cav, and they didn't have to do this. No, they did. I screwed up. Okay, good. Yeah, if cav apply a DRM, they flip over. I provided an attack. Is it into here? I don't know, maybe. The Austrians performed an attack which I flipped them over for, but it actually should have been defense. Or maybe I did it on defense and we're all good. Anyway, these cav being flipped over, they're going to have a hard time recovering without falling back. So that clumping shouldn't stay as a continual problem. Of course, it could save you on the last turn to have a little clump like that from losing additional units. The Prussians did not launch. No, it had to be an Austrian attack. The Prussians did not launch an attack. Yeah, so the Austrians had to be here. The Prussians did not launch an attack at all because they just couldn't get one that was worth making. I forgot about the fact that you flip the cav over on defense, though, as well. But not on defense when the cav is being attacked, but when the cav provides a DRM to an attack situation. So that's something to keep in mind. But the Prussians are winning the game. They don't need to do any fighting. I've got a lot of artillery ammo left. I've been really conservative with it. I think we're going to see everybody throwing it in every fight very soon. But now I have to work my way back into the rulebook to see what happens here. So cav recover if they're not in a zone. These guys are both in a zone. And then we go to the annoyance of the headquarters placement, which I have to figure out. And I have to keep in mind, I've got a cav unit here, or I'm sorry, I've got units here that are going to be coming back on the board. Doesn't have to be next to the headquarters they're associated with, which seems a little odd, but I have to keep a headquarters back kind of away from the enemy so that I can place units, because the blown unit return, the friendly headquarters can't be in a zone of control or a zone of influence, which means it has to be kind of in your backfields. Keep in mind, though, that I don't want to, that the particular headquarters that I choose to use as my sort of reserve gathering point, where, you know, in the Prussians' case, I got one unit coming back on it. I want that one to be the one I'm not going to use in combat, which may end up being this guy. Although, it's hard to tell, because this guy might be able to launch attacks this way. The red one is going to have trouble slipping units. The way the stacking, etc. works, I'm going to have trouble getting units in here to launch an attack. And this should be flipped over right now because it's within a zone of influence. And I think it moved into it. It's going to be flipped over eventually, anyhow, when we get to here. So no biggie there. I need to have my headquarters be on its mobile side, though. It can be on its combat side, because it'll allow me to place things here. Now, there is a potential situation here. The Austrians have to be more careful, because blown units are returned first by the Prussians, which means that the Prussian headquarters might insert a unit, say here, that exerts a zone of influence or whatever, it won't be a zone of control, I'm sure, into the headquarters that the Austrians were planning on bringing their blown units back on. And if that happens, those blown units just die. This is causing me a problem with Benedict. I want to put him in a place where he exerts his powerful +2 bonus, but that's going to be really hard to do because the Prussians are coming around the edge here, which may mean that this guy will be the guy I place first, and my intention will be to put the reserves down here and then bring them up into play. But not as efficient as bringing them right in where the battle is. Headquarters have come in first back here, all on their reverse side for combat capability. Austria went here, Prussia went up in here, obnoxious. Austria went here, next to it. This is forbidden to them because it can only be in an empty hex. And then the other one jumped up here. And I'm hoping this is going to work. This means that I don't launch attacks in this way, and then Benedict is going to be really kind of the prevailing leader, and whereas I might have a chance to pick on some of these, I'm going to probably have trouble with Benedict, but it gives me a lot of force against him, against the forces near him, and I'm hoping to be able to launch an attack this time. I don't know. Probably not. I'm not going to plot ahead enough to be able to figure that out. That blown unit return, Prussians first. I really don't know. I'll put this. Oh, it's a cav unit. A cav unit. Yeah, that's fine there, I guess. And the Austrians get their two, which are going to be down here. This is not in an enemy zone of either type. Let's put the weaker unit here because, I don't know, I would rather have the stronger unit functional. And this one will also be mobile. Puts me on the bombardment phase. Ugh. Okay, here I could use bombardment, right? Maybe it would be useful to me, because if I drop it somewhere, what it maybe allows me to do is free up, and this is the first time I've thought of a use for it, free up something like this. I'm defending in a good location, but to get a Prussian away from my line so one of my units is freed. If I hit someplace like this, I might be able to blow a big unit, which could be useful too, because I would not be able to retreat into here and everything else is a zone. So let's take a look at the bombardment, because I think we might want to do this. We have to find the special rules. There we go. At least 3 hexes from a Prussian entry hex. Once placed, it acts as an enemy zone of control. If placed on an enemy unit, the unit must retreat, and I can blow it. Wow. This is clearly a useful use for it, because I'm late in the game. Anything that I blow dies. So I'm going to blow this. And I find that Austrian bombardment and I put it there, because this is worth 3 victory points. And that may have just changed the game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's now a tied game because of the Austrian bombardment capability. Not something that I thought it would be able to do. But blown units count So if you blow units in the last couple turns, there's a rule that says they're eliminated. Okay. That's what I just applied. There's also another rule that has effectively the same, that has the same effect if you were to think about what it probably means, which is that blown units that are blown at the end, still at the end of the game, are worth victory points. That would work well with the rolling units idea, which was not in the rules. Instead, you have, hey, if you can't bring units in, they go in the eliminated pile over there. Okay. So, first use of that. Yay! I'm glad I found a use for it. I really am. And this creates a zone of control. Now, this hex is already a zone of control, so it's not really that big a deal. It doesn't project any zones of influence or anything. And now we flip things over. And I'll do that when I have both hands free. Added us one Austrian unit here or here that had to flip over because of the proximity of the Prussian units. All the Prussians are already on their slow side. Nothing got sped up. And now we have the retreat. Well, I'm so clustered that a retreat could actually really hurt me. Like, I can't retreat this unit. Not that he's in a zone. Interesting. I'm not sure quite how, but it is. So I think the Prussians choose not to, and the Austrians, I have to remember, this thing is not a unit I could retreat out of this area. Now, you're able, there's no die roll or anything, you're able to retreat your entire line if you wish. This unit cannot retreat. It's not in a zone, no matter how much it looks like it is. Does this cav do me any good? I don't think it does, but I can't retreat. Oh, yes, I can. This isn't the zone. Let's get out of there. 1, 2, 3. Because it's not doing me a damn bit of good there. I can't retreat this the same way, unfortunately. So I'll leave that in the line there. I think we're okay. Hard to tell. And that will put us in the movement phase, which is way up here at the top of the page, under that header, and looks like it's the same roll. And I'll put this here to remind me the Prussians are going, and I'm going to put this reserve cav unit right up here so that I remember to bring it in on the board. All the semi-positive things of yesterday have dissipated today. I got up at a reasonable hour, played my computer game, and was tired, so I went back to bed rather than, trying to stay up. And I figure, well, because I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but it had to be late last night after I came up from here. But I found out that, like, they set up an appointment for me for the interview on Thursday for the next round, and then, like, within a short period canceled it. And so I asked about that, and apparently they're, still kind of deciding whether to go forward or whatever, which is not what my first email. I had gotten an email saying they were very interested, and, can I give them time within the next few days? And so I give them a big swath of slots, but then they came back with, this. That sounds like they're not sure that they want to go with the second round, which is disappointing. But not really to do with that. I went back to bed. Unfortunately, my game is a big event going on again, which I've decided to participate in. And every 6 days, I think they give you a big hunk of energy. And I had a lot of other energy available, and I basically spent the whole day playing that. So now here it is at like 2 in the morning. I've struggled my way down while the game is playing itself, because I'm still not tapped out of all the stuff I can do in a day. It really is demanding if you let it be, and I don't know how not to. And I'm in the movement phase. Prussians up first. I've got a reinforcement that has to come on first. That is in section D, way over here. And that's part of the White Army, which is heading this way, which means I can cross here and come up if I'm following the rules strictly. Now, I got permission from the designer to loosen those restrictions to moving towards the zone itself, and I'll try that. I don't think we're going to learn a lot about that, but it's certainly going to be closer to what I thought in the first turn in terms of like, you're just, heading towards that locus of command rather than having to be absolutely strict with the hex lines. Walking away, it's hard to remember where everything is and what the new style of the game, the way the game operates really is. I've got these two fatigued cav. I don't want to get them into combat because they won't recuperate under those conditions, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to help it. These guys are pinned. This is pinned. This is in a defensive location, so I kind of don't want to give that up. I've got some units back here that probably want to move their way back forward. This is not pinned. This is pinned. So I don't know what I'm doing, but dealing with the defensive line for the Austrians, the Prussians moved into here. It doesn't really pin, but it gives me some more support if I want to attack the cav. Cav is relatively easy to attack. And then I crossed right in here and put a body blow on this cav. Now, there's some risk, but not really a hell of a lot. And this lets me pin this, make it so that it's not going to recuperate. It wouldn't anyway, but maybe I would shift all over the place and try to get it out of the way or cross the river or something extreme. Instead, the Prussians just slammed right into it. Now, the reason I went into here with this unit first was that I wanted to kind of provide protection for that 2-star, but I gotta tell you, I kind of decided, screw it, I'll just slam that right in there. We're on the Austrian turn. I don't know how much they have they can do. Life has become a lot more difficult for them. And this, that doesn't affect those guys. They don't flip over. You only flip, if I'm right, let me make sure. You only flip as the reactive player in an enemy zone of control rather than a zone of influence. But as the moving player, you flip when you enter a zone of influence. And that's what I remembered. I just wanted to look at it again just to make sure. Because again, there's so much going on here that is, I'm not going to say counterintuitive, just unfamiliar, Something kind of interesting. You can make a death ride charge, from what I can tell, without the cavalry unit being rested. And I may need to do that to try to break out of this shit. I'm not sure. Yeah, the odds of that are not going to be good. Because I have no support there from anything. I could move an infantry into there. That would get me an infantry support. Which would get me +1, +2, +3 to +3. That's not too terrible when it comes down to it. However, I know I can't use artillery support. Okay. It's not here. I know there's something that prevents you from using artillery. And I'm not sure if that death ride rule, if that should, like, part of me says, wow, if you're exhausted cav, you're not in any position to make that kind of situation. But okay, Cav cannot choose to receive artillery support and will always choose no support. So I would be facing Prussian artillery support in there. That seems like a big no. I could get a +1 if I can get this unit up there. That unit is not trivial to get up there. I would have to move out of the way because I can't move to here. And attacking across the stream is a penalty through the swamp. I'm really having trouble finding, what I'm willing to do with my Austrians. Going ahead with that, I moved this unit here. The Prussians moved something to kind of interfere in that. And I moved here. That switches me over. I'm not able to to move into an attack position right away. I have got to do something about this, Prussian encirclement that's going on. Not quite sure what to do about it. Like I said, defensively, the encirclement works okay, but yeah, once your cav's been used, now you're no longer that impressive on the defense, just being this big clump. So I think things are going to go very, very poorly for the Austrians at this point. The Russians are probably going to get a limited number of moves very shortly because I'm just about forcing the Austrians into a, hey, you better pass pretty soon. They're running out of things they can possibly move. I've got a lot of stuff I'd like to do. This is like 3 moves here. Cav support for defense would be great, and that's one of the few things that can move quickly, so let's call that a 4th move there, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm still moving closer to the zone there. Certainly not moving any further away, but probably it's still not as, it's still going to limit me. I'm not going to be able to get that defensive support in. This isn't going to move, which means this isn't going to be able to move. I don't know where that headquarters is. Oh, it's way back here. Yeah, that's not going to... That whole force is pretty much stuck. I could push 1 unit into this zone. I could move this into here. That would tie down this cav, but that cav's not doing any damage, and it's not going to be able to. So I don't think that's terribly important, but the problem is if I move the unit into here to launch this attack, maybe, I don't know what the odds of that are. They're +2 for the town. It takes a couple of moves to get this one up there. I think that's the ideal situation. That says, though, it's the Austrian turn right now, which I don't think it is, but yeah, it probably is. So the Austrians are going to push to here, and then I guess I push the Prussians into here. I flip this back and forth because otherwise, especially with me talking, I kind of forget where I am at. I'll go away for a little bit. But I think the Austrians are, they're not quite ready to, I don't know. Like, I'm saying they're not quite ready to pass because I want to get into defensive terrain, but do I really? That makes my shape really ugly. The pass. That means that I count the Prussian units not in a zone, and that's what kind of zone? Zone of control? Can't remember. Not in a zone of control. And for reinforcements that haven't entered, well, reinforcements have to enter first. So those are all in already. 1, 2, it could happen. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like +8. So I'm going to have 11 Prussian moves to launch my attack. And we showed you some of the counts. I'll do them all out. Maybe I lied. I'm going to get this bombardment marker out of here. Well, no. I can't really, because it could conceivably affect some retreats or something. I was saying it's not serving any purpose. It's not for movement, but it could impose some effect. Kind of want to get it off the board because I've got so many of these places where I've got to kind of skew my stacking so I can see what the hell's underneath, because what is underneath is important. Yes, if you're on top of something, it's something weird, but I have to know whether that is an active headquarters, an inactive, a combat active headquarters, a mobile headquarters, or in this case, the zone of control hex, which doesn't play much impact, but it does make for a little bit of ugliness there. The cav here that I can't get into the defensive position. I want to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I can do it, right? Yeah. Except I'm moving from here to here, and that's maintaining the same distance. That's not getting me closer. So not just to the headquarters, mind you, to the zone, right? I'm 2 hexes away here. I'm 2 hexes away from the zone of command. So it really doesn't fix it in all circumstances. And I certainly couldn't go from here to here for the same reason, so I can't try to skirt around. I got like 5 moves left. This cav is in the same kind of position, except that my headquarters is back here. I can move to here, but I can't go any further. So, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll move that. This one's tied down. The Austrians might attack this cav. Yeah. But it's at +2 in the... So I'm at +2, +3, facing +2. I basically have a +1. I could throw artillery and they can't, which maybe gives me an advantage, but I don't know how good a one, and then it moves my unit into there if I succeed, which I may not want to be in. So that leaves me, basically these 2 units are all I can move. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Could I go up here? 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I can't bring this around because again, I'm not getting closer to the zone. I'm staying at equal distance. So yeah, I think these are the only units I can move, and I can't do much with them. I'll push this here. 1, 2, click it over. That's there. I want to leave channels of retreat just because. So I think that is it, and that will put us in the combat phase. I'm going to go check on my game. May or may not be back. No. I'm actually on turn 6 here. Oh. Let's not make this too long because it was first turn, first video, second video, third video. Yeah. I was doing 2 turns per. My video game's playing itself, so I died the first time, but I seem to be doing better this time, so we'll see. And we're on the attacks, and the Prussians get to launch first. Now, you don't really want to make this attack now because the way this is set up, if I go in there, I'm in a worse situation than I'm in right now. I'll let the Austrians try it first. I think I want to start by chipping away this cav here. And I've got so many zones, everything's in zone, that thing can't retreat. It can't throw artillery in. So I'll be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. +4 to nothing. We'll do that. Those are good odds. So +4, I blow it in a good way. So that eliminates the unit. And this was the guy who attacked, I guess. So he moves forward. It could have been this guy. But I like the line I'm forming in this direction. That puts it on the Austrians. Now, here I've got an attack at +1, if I so desire. The Prussians have the artillery advantage. You mean I can try it? But I don't know how much good it does me. Okay, so we're both going to throw artillery in because this is important and we've got tons of it left. The Austrians roll a 6. That kills one more artillery, I believe. And we get the artillery advantage. So we're at +2, +4 to +3. We're at +1, +2 for the artillery, puts us to +3. We get a tie result. All that effort, we got nothing. No cav were expended. We're back on the Prussian side. And there's not much that's going to threaten this, so let's look elsewhere. There's a potential attack here. I'm on my combat side. I'll be out of range if I succeed, but let's do that. Continue chiseling our way in. So, +1, +2, +3 for the cav to +3. That's not good. I forgot an infantry there. +1, +2, +3, +4. Oops. I think it can't be like that, can it? Had to be here, I think. I don't know. Okay. I don't recall. Yeah, it had to be. So let's try counting again. +1, +2, +3, +4 to +3. I'm at +1. We're both going to expend artillery again. I win this time, so I'm at +3 on the attack. That gets me a +3. That blows this unit. It's got nowhere to retreat, so another unit dead. I attacked from here, so I come out of here. That could be important. This is not a retreatable hex still. Back on the Austrians. I don't know. Do a death ride from here. I'd be at +2 up against 1. Oh, this cav got used. Up against 1. So I got a slight advantage, but they could throw artillery in and put me at a disadvantage. Not good. I could do a death ride here, and I would be at like even, and they could throw artillery and I can't. So I'm going to make this attack again. +4 to +3. I'm at +1. We both expend artillery. The Prussians are almost out. To tie, the Prussians get it. I said we were at +1. +2, +4 to +3, which means we're now at -1 on the attack. And that's a 3-point advantage for the Prussians, which means this big unit is blown. There's no advance after a defender success. But that makes things much, much tastier everywhere. +1, +2 to +2, not very appealing. Let's go down here, see what we got. +1, +2, +3, +4 to +2. +4 to +2. I've only got 1 artillery left. That's for the game, too. I will try this attack. The Austrians make it an even fight. And they win by 1. That forces a retreat from this unit. 1, 2. I can stop there. Brings it back to the Austrians. Well, this looks like it's not going to fall. I can't really afford any attacks, so I will pass. So the Prussians get 1 remaining attack. I want this one. +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, +6 to +5. I'm only at +1. We'll both throw artillery in. The Austrians get it. We were at +1. That means we're at -1. -1 means we lost by 3. That's a blown Prussian unit. I think I was attacking with this one. Blown is destroyed now. And that is the end of that. Put me here. Beginning of a new turn. Whew. Go back to command phase here so I remember what I'm doing. Put some dice there. I mean, clearly the Prussians have won this game. There is nothing the Austrians can do to stop that. I don't know if there's much point in fiddling around the end of it. The one nice thing is, it turned out, because of the way the Cav degenerate, they work great in a clump once, and then that clump gets degraded. It's no longer like this massive defensive thing. I still don't understand why Cav that are behind the lines are particularly a bonus. Nothing to do with being able to outflank the position or anything like that. Iffy enough with Cav on the line being terribly effective by this date. We're talking about Civil War period where Cav was essentially useless on the battlefield. I don't know how much different that is when you get to Europe in the period, but yeah, I mean, I would assume that the main reason for that is the improved effectiveness defensively of the rifle fire. And, you know, yes, there was the death ride at Mars-Tour, but like the Charge of the Light Brigade, it's more something you wouldn't want to do, you know? And here I'm finding them having this tremendous, tremendous impact on the defensive positioning inside the battlefield. I like the way they work with the pinning. That actually makes a lot of sense. Being able to scout around, you know, on the flanks and force units to not be as mobile. I don't think that's unrealistic, but using them directly in a combat, even, you know, in this supporting role, whatever that is, I don't know what that represents, and that's why I'm grasping. I'm like, I just can't think of why Cav behind your line is going to help you, and frankly, why Cav on your flank is particularly going to help you. You know, it's, unless we're talking about something like, you know, I don't know what they're armed with, right? If they're getting off their horses and lying down and firing their repeating rifles, well, yeah, they could be a pretty impressive factor, I guess. Not when they're behind you, but at least in the line. But that's not how it feels. It doesn't feel like we're talking dismounted Cav here, but maybe it is. Hey, into the last turn of the game, and I was awakened this morning, and it's kind of good when I get awakened early and stay up. By crap going on back in the park, I don't know what, some kind of tools or something. high-pitched noise. But I really should be going shopping. But there's just so many things I need to do, and I did a semi-shopping trip Tuesday, and have enough to hold me till Sunday at the least. But it's like today is not a bad choice of a day, except it's fucking gray out. It'll get brighter later on. I don't know. Maybe I'll motivate. Anyway, see, now I'm throwing all my life shit in, which I tried not to. Let's play out this last turn. I think the game is easily decided. The Austrians are surrounded, which is not a good thing. They've lost more forces. And, I could pretty much, if I was playing this opposed, I probably would have offered a concession from either side. Like, the Prussians would have said, hey, we don't have to finish this up if you don't want it. The Austrians, yeah, there's no chance anymore. But it's always an offer. I'm fine playing things out to the end usually. If my opponent wants to. Playing it solo, well, again, I don't think there's anything I'm going to learn playtest-wise, but I'm something of a completionist, so let's just press through and finish this off. And exhaustion recovery. So I have a couple of exhausted cav, but neither one can, because they're too close to the enemy. And I'll pull my headquarters and start positioning them. Headquarters placements I want to explain because both of them are a little weird. This, for different reasons. This one has to be placed in the backfields to reorganize a unit from a different command. Something has to reorganize that unit or I'll lose it, I guess. So, and I don't know if that's actually specified. I would guess this is clear enough, but given that I'm in an argument over a world at war with a couple of the fanboys from that, 7 years after my video was put out, which is really weird because this one guy keeps bringing that up. That's the only reason I say 7 years. I guess because I responded to his comment in defense of the system. I like the system a lot. I hate the rules bloat. And the rules bloat comes from filling out these kind of things. Of course, a game this simple is not. You could make it, you could nail down the rules a little bit better, in that way without hurting the game as much. But with something like a World at War, I don't know what there is, 150 pages of rules. It's fucking humongous. And it's approximately as complex a game and as detailed as WIF. They're basically competitors. And anyway. Either way, I don't care with something of this size. I feel like, again, it's clear enough. That's the kind of place where where AWOW would have spent twice as much text to make sure that you get it completely, so that no rules lawyer will say, well, there's an ambiguity there. I don't think so. Okay. So that had to go back here. And Benedict went here because all of his command is within an enemy zone of control. Ooh. Uh-oh. Okay. So here's a problem in the rules. At least I've been playing it one way, and that's not what's stated. The headquarters must be placed within 3 or 5 hexes of a friendly unit, which is, by the way, Moltke is a leftover from the previous game. Hexes of a friendly unit which is currently not in an enemy zone of control. I have been playing it. a friendly unit under its command. That is not what's specified. It's just me making assumptions like I did with kind of the first turn in terms of movement. Hey, I want to move towards it. In general, each hex move doesn't have to be rigidly respected in the way that starting with turn 2 I started paying attention to and really hating that. And with this, I just made the assumption it's got to be within range of its own command. That is not the case the way it's worded. And so I don't know if that's a rules problem or if my assumptions were just wrong. But I could see making that mistake very, very easily since I did. In this case, it's no big deal. Every Austrian unit is within an enemy zone, so I can put this anywhere I like. But I was only considering these units when I made that initial decision. On to the rest. That's something useful, and with most games I don't necessarily do that, but that's something useful about me coming back when I want to point out something. Well, just the act of pointing that out got me, to look at it more closely, etc., as opposed to, if I wasn't doing the video and trying to point out little things that I thought were interesting, I would never have caught that, right? That either I have been playing under an incorrect assumption or the rules are not specific enough. But yeah, as written, if you have any friendly units that are outside the enemy zones, that's where all your headquarters, if you have like one recovering cav back here, all the headquarters are going to have to flock to that. We have an example, and this really sucks. This headquarters is going to have to go here because this unit is not in an enemy zone. Wait, there's stuff back here that's not in an enemy zone. I can use this. 1, 2, 3, so I will place this here. I'm lucky I have that cav here because otherwise, yeah, my units would be... Oh, no, this guy's in a zone from this. Yeah. And again, I think you're going to get some really, really weird facets out of this because it's not based on the command. And Prince Albert, I don't care where he goes, really. I just want him to have both units under command, and that would be here, which is legitimate. I could actually push that up because there are no units outside. And then Prince Friedrich Karl, he's over here. He can also operate off this unit or this one. I'll put that under this cav because it doesn't have to be empty if I'm tracing from a unit. All right, that's the command phase. Well, no, now we go to the blown unit return. Where was I going to put this? It was going to come down here. I don't want it in a zone. Wait, it says adjacent, right? Yeah, it's adjacent. It can't be in the same hex as the headquarters. Again, that feels weird, right? This is sort of an empty hex for all purposes. It's not for the... So they specify it's not empty. And, that's what's hitting me here. I'll put him here, but he's not really thrilled to be that far back. Okay. And bombardment. I got to think about this because I was able to use it last turn. Of course, this would be my last shot. If I could force a unit to be blown, which I can, that's worth victory points. So yeah, let's look for a unit that would have to be blown. This unit would have to be blown. That seems worth it. No, I can retreat up this way. Hold on. Doesn't seem like it should, but yeah, it can. And remember, you can retreat towards the enemy. So what was really appealing about this is it's worth 3 victory points. This one's only worth 2, but I think is worth it. So I will drop that zone in here and kill that unit. All right. And now we flip units. I'm not going to spend the time doing that on video, but I do make a lot of mistakes still as I'm trying to make these judgments. Most units are inside some sort of zone. So, okay, well, there's a couple of Prussian mobile units, but otherwise everybody's kind of committed to the battle that they're in. And the final thing is exiting enemy zones of control. The Prussian would make all these choices first. Retreating away with a unit that's already kind of locked in seems like a bad idea. What about the Austrians, though? Do they have anywhere they want to retreat? Well, it's a 3-hex retreat. These cav are providing a certain type of defensive functionality in that it's going to be harder to force the attack in that direction. So if these cav ran away, and this one cannot, well, it cannot. If this cav ran away, that would give me the possibility of kind of slipping around and getting behind him. Although I would be outside the range, I would be leaving the range of the zones, so yeah, he's safe. What's not safe is this Benedict piece here. This cav is probably dead. Do I want to retreat him? He could fall back to, say, here or something. I don't know if it helps. I can't make a judgment that it's good or bad. I'm going to leave things as they are because of that. And that's going to get me to the movement side of the game. Put that there. And that's enough for now. Okay, not quite enough. Just like yesterday, I got up early, in this case 9 a.m. or whatever. I'm going to sleep around 4, 4:30 probably is more like it. And I just haven't gotten enough sleep and I'm tired, which is probably one of the reasons that shopping seems so unlikely today. But honestly, a lot of things seem unlikely. I just want to go back to bed. And in a way, it would make sense for me to do so. It's Thursday. I normally go dancing on, I'm going to be going dancing on Friday, I assume, unless I am sick. I had some issues. A little bit of sneezies, which sometimes means means something. Since I caught COVID long ago, every time I get a little bit of sneezies, it seems to hit me. It seems to be an indication that there's something kind of more serious coming. And just for like a day or two, but now I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm lost. And it's not really important to anyone. It's just me running my mouth. All right, into the movement phase. There aren't going to be a lot of things that can move. A lot of the stuff's pinned in place already. But pinning things in place is one of the sort of final goals for the Prussians as they finish off what they can of the Austrians. Now, there aren't a lot of places, so this is already pinned, this is already pinned. Yes, the Austrians could have run away, but that would just put them further back. You know, it wouldn't really improve their position from what I could tell. This is ready to get hammered. This might be able to get into position against it. We'll see. I assume we will. But it's pinned. There's... Hi. Better clean that water out for him. I want to sneak up and push him in. Anyway. Hi. I'm sorry, I'm just so intrigued. Oh boy. Bye. All right. I think the only thing the Prussians can really do of any value at this point is to move forward here. Now, these are not going to be attacking, I would guess, because this command is not within range to provide a bonus. And now, you know, with all the weirdness back in the command phase with deploying with other headquarters, being able to put the headquarters based on any troops, I'm wondering if there's an equal thing for the command bonus. So headquarters support, is it spelled out anywhere? Okay. So there's nothing here that tells you about the impacts of the headquarters. We go through, in the command phase, they don't seem to be linked to particular commands at all. Maybe in the original games, although this seems unlikely, there would be only one commander per side. I don't know. Let's look here. We got it. It's got to be in here, the headquarters. Okay, no, it's not. The only thing that's here is headquarters support plus DRM equal to headquarters in attack mode ER, effectiveness rating. Okay. So there's no actual specification of what, other than in range, what headquarters has to be there. Now, I've been playing it by my assumptions, but my assumptions don't match the way the rules are written for two other cases involving headquarters. Maybe, I'm not going to change anything now, maybe you can combine headquarters and the headquarters have nothing to do with the army that they're in command of or anything like that. Maybe they're just, you know, dedicated non-dedicated leaders who can, you know, absorb other units and give them just as much bonus. I'm not going to change anything on that. Right now, that's completely ambiguous, though. And okay. So, yeah, I moved forward there, and now the Austrians. The Austrians have one unit that they can move. And I'm going to push forward because I want to be able to launch an attack here, I guess. No, this guy's pinned. Okay. That's going to put it on the Prussians. The Prussians realize the Austrians aren't going to have much more. I'm going to look for another thing I want to do very badly. I definitely... That's a possibility. Okay. The Austrians will pass, and now I count all the Prussian units that are not in a zone. Zone of control only. 1, don't have to look it up this time. 2, 3. Now that's a reason not to move like I did right into a zone. because I would have an extra move if I had left him out there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus 9. I get 12 additional moves, and I will complete those. That's about it. I have several moves remaining and several pieces that are in the backfields, but because there's not going to be another turn, I'm not going to move them. It doesn't make any sense. They might just get in the way of retreats, and they certainly can't do anything good. Which means we get to the attack phase. Nobody's got any artillery left. Not sure which attack is sort of the most important. I wish I could get into this hex, but this guy's got his own, so that I could influence some of these others. I'm not going to be making a lot of attacks, and I don't know if the Austrians have any. Oh, they do have this unit, which is why I moved up there. What would we be looking at here? We'd be looking at +2 to +3. No command bonus there. So not good. Hitting this cav. That would be +1, +2, +3, +4, but that would blow my cav. +5. No, yeah, +5 to +2. But that would blow my cav, which is providing a defensive bonus. So I'm going to go up here. And it kind of doesn't matter because there are no Austrian units nearby. So I can use this big guy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For the command. To 3, 4, 5. So I'm at +2 with the Prussians. They lose by 1. That's going to be a retreat. We'll stop there. That puts it on the Austrians. Do I want to launch my, I guess, one attack that I have, perhaps? That would be 1, 2, 3, 4 to nothing. Yeah. No, not to nothing. To 1. So +3 for the Austrians. 5 to 3. That's a 2-point. That's going to give this guy a retreat. He's got nowhere he can retreat to, so he dies. This flips over, being used. And it was this unit has to move forward, which may now provide new opportunities for the Prussians, cutting in like that. Doesn't look like anything too good yet. I guess we go back up here. +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 to 5. A 0. I'm going to go for it just because I can retreat. The Austrians can't. And I get hit with a -3. So that blows the unit. It goes to the dead pile because of that. That was not good. Back over to the Austrians. Do we want to launch an attack on this? We'd be at 3 to 1. Sure. +2. We get a retreat out of that. We can't retreat because of the zones. We die. This does not feel reasonable. I'm not buying the system at all. Well, the Prussians were at 0 before here, so that's not going to go. Here I'm at 2, 3 to 2. I'm at +1. I'll go. I get a retreat. Okay. Can the Austrian breakout continue? No, they lost their unit. Austria will pass, so Prussia has 2 more attacks if they want them. I don't know that they do. I don't see any I want to make. So that's the end of the game. And now, for the victory points, it's simply the eliminated and blown units equal to the number plus the ER. So I've got 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 for the Austrians. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 for the Prussians. So the Prussians were doing quite well through most of the game. You know, a couple of points ahead early in the game. When they had that stuff surrounded, it looked like they were 4 or 5 points ahead. Now it's a 1-point game. And it's over. But yeah, I mean, the Prussian losses through essentially bad die rolls at the end really hurt them. The Austrian counterattack was very powerful. And, you know, there's a fair amount of luck when you're doing competing dice, you know, because it could swing between no difference at all to a 5-point difference in either direction. I rather like a lot of luck in my games of that nature, so I'm not terribly disturbed by it. I think that it covers a lot of stuff in combat that is hard to, you know, that you don't want to define with lots of rules, right? You don't want to create too much overhead in terms of the detail of what's going on to deal with the combat. But on the other hand, the modifiers and everything just have to be perfect to give you a realistic result. All right, so that's the end of the playtest. I think I'm going to come back with a review, but it's not gonna be about the playtest issues. It's going to be, you know, sort of a, hey, do you want to look forward to this game or not? For people who you know, didn't want to work their way through the whole playtest situation. I understand. You know, the thing is with a playtest, I'm not looking at the finished product. So what you're seeing is a lot of, you know, there's a lot of flaws, a lot of kinks that need to be ironed out and everything, and that's for sure. But then there's the question of what's at the heart of this system, and whether or not, you know, whether or not it's worth looking at. And I would rather not burden people with having to, you know, look at the last thing of the playtest to be able to get that couple of minutes of discussion. But it's going to be fairly short because, again, it's not, you know, it's not a completed product yet.